Okay, let's step inside the royal court of Axum in ancient Abyssinia. Picture this, a grand hall carved from stone. Golden shafts of light are cutting through the dusty air. And right in the middle of it all, a high-stakes drama is about to play out. You've got refugees, desperate for safety, their powerful persecutors right there in the room, and a just king who literally holds their fate in his hands. This is the story of that showdown, a real test of faith, politics, and the simple power of telling the truth. Now, before any of this even goes down, before the refugees even enter that court, they make a pact with each other. This isn't about politics. It's not about trying to figure out the right words to please the king. No, it's a vow, a promise to speak the absolute, unvarnished truth, just as they were taught. They're basically walking into this lion's den armed with nothing but their conviction. So here's the setup. A small group of the first Muslims are facing horrible persecution back home in Mecca. So they've made this incredible journey across the sea, looking for a safe place to land. And they've sought sanctuary in Abyssinia, a powerful Christian kingdom, because they've heard stories about its ruler, a king known for one thing above all else, his justice. His name was An-Najaashee. But that hope for a quiet, peaceful refuge, yeah, that's not going to last. Because right behind them are messengers from the Quraish tribe in Makkah, the city's elite, the very people they were running from. And trust me, they haven't come to talk things over. They're there for one reason, to drag these refugees right back to the torture they escaped. Now, what's really fascinating here is the game plan of the Quraysh. Their delegation is led by a man named Amr ibn al-As, who was known for being incredibly clever and a political operator. And get this, they don't just show up with an argument. Oh no, they show up bearing treasures, hoping to buy the king's favor before they even open their mouths. So their strategy has two parts, right? First, the bribe, showering the king and his court with expensive gifts. Second, the accusation, and this part is designed to completely isolate the Muslims. Amr says, look, these people, they haven't become Christians like you, but they've also ditched their own traditions. He's painting them as this weird renegade group that doesn't belong anywhere, trying to make them seem like a threat to everybody. But this is where King An-Najaashee's reputation for justice really comes into play. He refuses to condemn anyone without hearing their side of the story. So he summons the Muslim refugees to his court to answer for themselves. The Muslims huddle up and choose their spokesman, Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, a cousin of the Prophet, known for being well-spoken and a man of real character. So Ja'far stands before the king, and what he does next is just a masterclass in getting your point across. He doesn't start by arguing. Instead, he paints this really grim, honest picture of what their society was like before Islam. He starts with, "O king, we were an ignorant people." He talks about worshiping idols, corruption, injustice, a society where the strong just crushed the weak. And this was brilliant because it created common ground. It's a world the Christian king would absolutely recognize as a place needing God's guidance. And then he makes the pivot. He says that into all that darkness, God sent a messenger to them, and he just lists the things they were taught. Worship one God, tell the truth, keep your promises, be good to your family and neighbors, protect the weak. I mean, listen to that list. These aren't controversial ideas. They're universal moral values that would have resonated with everyone in that Christian court. Then he brings it all home. He explains that their only crime was trying to live by this message of light. He says, for trying to be good people, for worshiping God alone. For that, we were tortured and driven from our homes. And we chose your land, O king, specifically because we heard you were a just man. You can imagine the silence in the room. The king has heard this powerful speech, and you can tell it's hit him hard. But he's not finished just yet. He has one more simple but incredibly profound request. He asks Ja'far, do you have any of this divine revelation with you right now? See, he doesn't want to just hear about the message anymore. He wants to hear the message itself. He wants to judge it directly from the source. Okay, so this is a huge moment. What do you choose to recite? Ja'far's choice is just perfect. It's both incredibly smart and deeply sincere. He chooses a passage from a chapter of the Quran that honors a figure who is central and beloved to both traditions. Surah Maryam, the chapter of Mary. As Ja'far's voice echoes through that hall, reciting the sacred words, the entire mood shifts. It's an incredible scene. The king starts to weep openly.
His priests, who are holding their own ancient scriptures, they start weeping too, so much that tears are just soaking their beards and falling onto the scrolls. The words were building a bridge between them. When the recitation ends, the king speaks, and his words are final. He recognizes the divine spark in what he just heard. He says, by God, this and what Moses came with, they come from the very same source of light. Then he turns to the Quraish guys and basically tells them to get lost, saying he will never, ever surrender these people. So you'd think that's it, right? The Quraish delegation leaves, totally defeated and humiliated. But their leader, Amr, he's not done. He vows he's coming back the next day with one more argument. An argument so divisive, he thinks it will destroy the Muslims for good. He's about to play his last, most dangerous card. The next day, Amr goes back to the king and says, "O king, they say a terrible thing about Jesus, the son of Mary." He knows this is the single most sensitive point between them. He's setting a perfect trap. The Muslims either have to lie about their beliefs to keep the king happy, or they tell the truth and risk being called blasphemers by their Christian hosts. So the Muslims are called back in, and the tension is even higher now, when the king asks them flat out, "What do you say about Jesus?" Jafar, remembering that vow to be truthful, answers without even hesitating. He just calmly states what they believe, that Jesus is God's servant, his messenger, his word given to Mary, a spirit from him. No spin, no compromise, just the plain truth. The whole court just holds its breath. You can imagine Amr and his buddies smirking, thinking, we've got them now. Every single eye is on the king as he gets ready to give his final judgment on this incredibly critical issue. The king leans forward. He does something so simple. He just reaches down and picks up a small stick from the ground. And in the silence, the entire court is just focused on this one tiny gesture. He then draws a little line in the dirt with that stick. And then comes the verdict. The king looks straight at Jafar and says that the difference between their Christian belief about Jesus and what Jafar just said is not even as wide as that little line he drew. I mean, can you imagine the shock? It was a stunning, complete vindication of their truthfulness. And the king's final judgment was absolute. He granted the Muslims total safety and protection in his kingdom. He even declared that he wouldn't accept a mountain of gold to harm a single one of them. And then, as a final slap in the face to their persecutors, he ordered that all their expensive gifts be returned. Truth had won. Integrity had beaten corruption. So what's the big lesson we can take from this incredible courtroom drama? It's really a powerful example of a core principle. When your faith is in danger in one place, God's earth is vast, and there is refuge to be found. That king's court showed that real safety can be won not through political games, but through the simple courage of your convictions. In the end, this whole story is a testament to the power of just relying on the truth. The refugees won their safety not because they were slick or tried to flatter anyone, but because they were courageously honest. Their story, and this verse, reminds us all that the ultimate refuge, the truest safety, is always found when you turn towards a truth that's bigger than any border, a divine presence that stretches from the east all the way to the west, no matter where you are.